Yes, welcome and very good evening. So, welcome to the international webinar, special international webinar, right, under FTI Public Lecture Series. So, today we have Dr. Engineer, Dr. Didik, Dr. Engineer Didik Dwi Prasetya, which is a senior lecturer and researcher at the Universitas Negeri Malang, or in English, State University of Malang. So he is interested in topics related to software engineering, web and mobile application development, technology and enhanced learning, knowledge and data engineering, text and data mining, educational data science, and artificial intelligence. He has written several computer books. He is currently a reviewer in the reputable Electronic Journal of E-Learning, EJEL, and Computer Education Open, CAEO International Journal. Okay, without further ado, so let's we invite Dr. Engineer Didik Dwi Prasetya to present the series session for today. Okay, Dr. Didik, over to you now.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thanks to Professor Arifin who invited me as a speaker in this webinar, particularly for Faculty Computer and Informatics, University Malaysia Sabah. Thanks very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let I share my slide. Okay, can you see my slide, Professor Arifin? Hello, Professor Arifin. Can you see my slide?
So, yeah.
Okay,
Can.
thank you.
We can,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
can.
Yes.
Sorry, I mute that one.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today I would like to talk about the education data science with the study of educational big data mining in extended concept mapping based e-learning. Okay, I introduce myself. My name is Didik Dwi Prasetya. I am a lecturer at the Department of Electrical Engineering and Informatics, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia. Right now, I am also head of study program, Informatic Engineering in Universitas Negeri Malang. My areas of interest are knowledge engineering and educational data science. Until now, I'm also a reviewer of some reputable journals like Computer and Education Open Journals, International Journal of Educational Research, Electronic Journal of E-Learning, and Knowledge Engineering and Data Science Journal. Maybe some of the journal meets with your interest. I think you can also submit your paper to the journal. In this opportunity, I would like to talk about the data science and big data, and then education data science, concept mapping based e-learning, and one of my research about the extended concept mapping. Maybe I can deliver this speech in multiple language, Professor Arifin, in English, also Bahasa and Malay. Is it okay?
Boleh. Yeah,
Okay.
proceed. Okay.
Yes. Okay, first about the data science and big data. I think all of you have quite familiar with the data science that now very popular around our life. Basically, data science is a field of study that focuses on finding patterns and insight in massive amounts of data using a variety of scientific techniques, algorithms, and procedures, according to Naim. So, in this era, in this digital era, I think we cannot consider that data is just like an optional resources, but it will be mandatory or most of the data that around our life. According to Domo Statistics, they released the data never sleeps from one version until 10, and we can see in this picture comparing the from 2013 until 2022, we can see that user queries in Google increase significantly. Also, in the YouTube search resource from 2013 that in 48 uploaded per hours increased to 500 uploaded per hours. It means that the data grow day per day significantly, massively. Particularly in the COVID era, maybe we know well about the learning activities that conducted online. There is no choice. Either in Malaysia or Indonesia, I think similar. We use online platform to provide the learning activities, and we use the video, also using online meeting and so on. Also in Instagram platform, we can see that there are many photos shared comparing 2013 until 2022. Also about the Twitter, Facebook, but in the last, we can see that about the email, there is no significant increasing email, because maybe we still use email in the electronic communication. Okay. Next, about the big data itself, it can be defined as a collection of data from many different sources and is often described by fish characteristics. Maybe we know that the first characteristic of big data consists of three V's about the volume, velocity, and variety. Volume is about the size. So we can consider whether the data is a big data or not based on the size. This is the first characteristic. And the second about the velocity. Speed of the data day-to-day growth massively and increase from the zero until the collecting of the big data. And the third about the variety. Basically, data itself can be divided into three characteristics or three types. The first is unstructured, and then semi-structured, and the last is structured. There are many variation of the data. And then the characteristic of big data expand to 4 V's, which is veracity or accuracy or reliability. So in the many variation of the data, many resources, we need to ensure that the data is accurate or correct. And the last, in the 5 V's of big data, is about the value. And this characteristic rapidly changing the mindset of the big data. I mean that big data not only about the lot of the data, but also the data that has a value. has an insight. This is the most important characteristic of big data. We can discuss it later. Okay, how the relationships between the data science and big data we can see in this picture. Basically, big data is a subset of field in the data science. There is also data mining that has close relation between the big data in the big umbrella of the data science. Data science itself has a close relationship with artificial intelligence AI that now also familiar and famous. We can use application like ChatGPT and so on. Also, there is machine learning. Okay, next I will discuss about the education data science. Education data science is an emerging methodological field which processes the algorithm-driven technologies required to generate insights. Again, we need to generate insights and knowledge from educational big data. So basically, data science and educational data science quite similar. And we can simply say that educational data science is applying data science in educational environments. What is benefit of educational data science? The first, it can improve adaptive learning, provide better parent involvement, provide better assessment of teachers, also improve students' performance, build better organizations, facilitate student recruitment, and regular updates in the curriculum. I think we can believe that educational data science could improve learning achievement. How to apply educational data science? At least we need three components in here. First is about tools, because we need to analyze, to gather, to extract the data, so we need the tools. And the second, sure, we need the data itself. Without data, there is no analysis. So the second is data. And the last is skilled people. So we hear about the data scientists also. I think in Malaysia also there are many new study program, Professor Arifin, like a data science and also similar study program. Because we need the special people that can manage the data. So tools, data, and skilled people will produce value. This is how to apply the educational data science. Okay, next I move to concept mapping based learning. I will move slightly to my research, to my focus right now. Probably all of you more familiar with mind map comparing to the concept map, right? But I will explain shortly about the mind map. Basically, it focuses on one node. However, in the concept map, we focus on the ideas that relate or connect to other ideas that make or form a proposition. Concept maps are graphical representation of individual conceptual knowledge at the big individual ideas that connect to concepts and form a proposition. We can see in this illustration in this picture. First, we create one concept and then we create another concepts or ideas, and then we connect first concept to second concept. This is a proposition. We cite it a proposition, the smallest unit in a concept map. Concept map has been widely used in teaching, learning, and assessment. Why concept maps? Concept maps are effective student-centered learning because we allow students to express their knowledge, their understanding. So in this activity, students itself that will create the concept map. They represent their knowledge and it can facilitate critical thinking, creative productions, quality product developments, and complex problem solving, which are the top skills needed in the 21st century digital skills. As we know, in the list of World Economic Forum, they released top 10 skills of 2025 skills for the people who can predict that they will survive in the digital era. The first is about analytical thinking and innovation. Analytical thinking and innovation, innovative. It will be the first rank. I think similar in Indonesia, also in Malaysia. Most teenagers, most students have good ideas, good innovation, and then they create like startup and they can survive. Jadi mereka jadi leader in informatics and technologies areas, innovation, and then active learning, learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity. This is the most skills that needed in the 21st century. Next, my study basically focus on the extension concept mapping. So why I focus on the extension concept mapping? Because concept mapping itself is not new issues. So we need to create or propose new ideas in concept mapping field, and I propose extension concept mapping, which is the ideas is to extend existing concept map with other concept map. So if in the common or standard concept mapping, we just finish the concept mapping in one cyclus, in this extension concept mapping, we create two concept maps, and then we relate the concept map in one unit or one concept map. This is my idea. Okay, we move to the case study about the extended concept mapping. In my study, I propose two designs. The first is extended scratch build, and the second is extended kit build concept map. Extended scratch build means that we provide the blank area in the computer, and then we instruct students to express their understanding, their knowledge based on the material, in the concept map diagram. So there are no components provided. So blank area. So we call scratch build. It is also refers to open-ended. Open-ended means that because there are no components, just blank area and students create concept map. Mereka buat concept maps based on their knowledge in computer. Next, we instruct the students to expand their first concept map after we give the second material. So in this case, we divide the materials into two materials, material first and material kedua. Jadi first mereka create concept map in the blank area. Next, the teacher continue the lecturing, giving materials, or bisa juga students watch the movies or video material. Also, they can read the material directly. After that, we instruct them to continue creating the concept map. This is the first design, extended scratch build concept map. And the second, we provide the kit, which is concept and links. So this is this design different with the first design. In the extended kit build, first teacher create the teacher map. After that, system will decompose the teacher map into kit or unconnected concept maps. So in this design, students cannot add new concepts or new links, just given. They just reconstruct. After that, the second phase, similar with the extended scratch build. They instructed to continue their concept map. This is the user interface of our tools using the web-based application. So in this picture, we can see there are two colors. The first is about the first concept map, and then next is the second concept map, which is the concept that have been expanded based on the learning material. This is our tool that I have studied until now. Flow of the concept mapping can be seen in this picture. First, in the class, so di dalam kelas we conduct lecturing or teaching students as common. So kita masuk ke kelas, kemudian memberikan material. Nah, di sini teacher bisa menggunakan video. They can use video or handout to deliver the materials, just like usual lecturing. After that, we use concept mapping tools to request students. Okay, the teacher have just delivered the materials, and then the teacher want to know whether the students understand or not about the materials. Okay, next. Students, please create the concept map based on your knowledge, on your understanding. Okay, we move to the computer tools. They create the concept map. We give the account, so students have their accounts different from others. And then in this context, open-ended, we call the open-ended concept map. We will receive many variations of concept maps, right? Because every student has different ideas. Every student has different knowledge and understanding. This is one potential resources that we receive. So the students concept map, we start in the database. If this activity we repeat daily, weekly, monthly, and we use uh, every learning, I believe that we can achieve big data. So I called it big data concept maps. This resource is a valuable resources. Next, we can involve the educational data mining and data science that basically involve the pre-processing and processing data. This activity could result learning patterns. So we will use the definition of the data science. We need to uncover to reveal the patterns. It also relate with the education 4.0 that say that in education 4.0 there is not only evaluation, not only examining, but also analyze the learning. And then after we receive the learning patterns, we can use it to support decision making. This is flow of the concept mapping activity. Next, about the potential analysis, we can use most of the data mining techniques, also data science techniques in this educational data science. The first like concept map extraction, because the first concept map start to the database. So we need to gather, we need to extract, we need to receive the concept maps content. And then we can employ association rules analysis to analyze how the association or relation between one pattern to another. Next, about the data classification, we can classify, for example, based on their difficulty, which is the first is easy concept map or easy material, and then middle, and the next is difficult material. We can classify. Also visualizing the data. Even concept map itself is a visual diagram, but still not easy to interpret. So we can involve the data visualization. And the next about the clustering, to grouping the concept map. This activity could find the valuable pattern in learning activity. For example, we can find how the students study in the particular material. I mean, do they understand well or just understand in a small part of the materials based on the clustering? Next, about the automatic scoring. This analysis suitable for the open-ended concept map that I mentioned earlier. So if we allow the students to express their understanding and produce many variations of the concept map, it is not easy for the teacher to know about the student understanding because there are many variations of the concept map. It is difficult for the teacher to find quickly about the students' understanding, what they understand about the material. It is time consuming and difficult. So we can use automatic scoring of the data mining techniques to provide automatic scoring in the concept maps. Also pattern recognition. What the patterns that can be revealed. And time series analysis also can be employed in the concept mapping activity, etc. Next, about our current results, what have we done? The first is about the concept mapping patterns in open-ended and closed-ended. As I mentioned in the previous, we provide two design of concept map. The first is open-ended and the second is closed-ended. Open-ended means there are no component, okay? And the closed-ended means that there are given components and students requested to construct. In the left side, we found that the pattern of the closed-ended, which is the students given the concept maps, tend to produce constant performance. I mean that all of the students in the group could achieve good concept maps. Could mean the number of concept maps, also the time duration in the creating concept map. They are consistent in this activity. Comparing to the right picture, this is open-ended concept mapping styles because we allow the students to express their understanding. We can see that there are many student performance, individual performance, different. Some of them could achieve good in the number of concept maps, but some also just achieve small concept. I think this finding relate to the basic theory of the concept map. And next, about the group performance. We still compare open-ended concept map and closed-ended concept map. In the left side is a closed-ended. This picture depicts the finding that students in the closed-ended concept map achieve good performance in creating concept map. It means that in the activity, they could finishing the concept maps earlier than open-ended. In the right side is the picture of open-ended concept map styles. They tend to produce many variations, like different time, also different number of concept maps. And the last, what we have done about the word cloud concept mapping. Again, as I mentioned in my previous presentation, in the context of open-ended concept map, it is difficult, not easy to identify students' understanding about the learning materials. So by using the concept maps, and then we analyze, we convert, or we produce in the diagram, like a word cloud diagram, it can produce easy interpretation for the teacher. So teacher can understand quickly about the ideas or concept that have been understood by the students. Apa konsep yang memang dipahami oleh students secara cepat based on the concepts diagram. Also in the group results, we can receive the word cloud diagram in one class. In this picture, we can see that in the left side indicate individual word cloud, and in the right side about the group results. The results, I think, similar in this material database or basis data relational in this first picture. Still, the most important terms or keywords in the concept maps. And we can gather this data quickly using the data mining and data science, rather than evaluate or analyze the concept maps one by one manually by the teacher. So about the conclusion, data science is no longer optional in the digital era. It is now a must in adopting the data-driven strategy. Educational data science is a new field with great potential to improve learning achievement. And the last but not least, value is the most important characteristic in data analysis. Okay, I think that's all. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Arifin.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Didik, for I think very good talk lah. I think this is new knowledge also. Okay, knowledge engineering and data science, right? So okay, so let's open the question to the floor lah. So any question from the clip? Okay, any question? Ya, ini Dr. Didik.
Yeah,
Tadi Dr. Didik ada cerita berkenaan open-ended dengan close-ended kan? So actually
yeah.
open-ended, close-ended tu dia merujuk kepada apa?
Okay. Open-ended and closed-ended, it is like styles. So in creating the concept maps, we can use open-ended styles or closed-ended styles. Open-ended means that we allow the students to create the concept maps in blank area in the computer tools based on the learning materials. So di sini tak ada komponen apapun yang kita provide. Jadi benar-benar blank di situ ya. So mereka akan create concept map. I believe that mereka akan create concept map different between one student to others. This is open-ended. So both open-ended and closed-ended have advantage and disadvantage. And in the context of closed-ended, Professor Arifin, so first we give unconnected concept maps. So there are given components, concepts, and links already provided. So they just connect one concept to another. Mereka tak boleh add konsep baru. Jadi based on given concepts.
Okay. Faham. Okay, very good. Okay, so this means that the concept has been applied in Universiti Negeri Malang lah kan? Sudah pakai lah cara ni
Iya,
dalam.
betul.
Okay.
We have applied the concept maps activity in 3 classes, and I compare. The first is just blended learning activity using a computer, using something like a massive open course. And then the second using extended scratch build, using concept map, but without any components first. And the third, I involve the group in third class that use extended get build. It means they give the concept map, and we receive the result as we predict as we hypothesis that the result good enough.
So that one for the same program lah kan? So maksudnya for the same subject, but so how that one conduct for the same subject or for the same cohort?
Yes, for the same. We have 3 classes in the material basis data. So in the same course, in the same subject, and also in the same students. I mean that they have similar ability, because we give the pre-test first, and then we group it into the experimental and control group.
Okay, so any more question?
Dr. Samsul.
Yeah.
Dr. Jekyll, yeah. I have one question. I mentioned the chat box.
Oh, chat box. Sorry. This question in the chat box. Okay, this question from Dr. Jekyll. Is there other style than open-ended and closed-ended, Dr. Didik? So instead of open and closed, is there any other styles?
Okay, thank you for your valuable questions, Mr. Jekyll. Yeah, basically there are only 2, basically open and closed. But some study try to mix. So they give like a scaffolding. So they give just a small part of the concept map that already connected, and then they requested students to finish the concept. Yes, maybe like mixing open and closed, but basically open-ended and closed-ended concept mapping styles.
So if open-ended, the final exam also open-ended or how? I mean the assessment lah. We want to measure kan dia punya student
Okay.
punya ability. So I mean the exam is if we conduct based on open-ended style, so the final exam will be open-ended
Yes,
or oh, okay.
it will be open-ended also. We involve some assessment, Professor Arifin, like student understanding using multiple choices questions, also answering the short answering question with short answer. Also, we measure like the number of concepts, the quality of concepts by using the rubric like good concept or just common concept measured by the expert or teachers, but still manually to compare the result of the open and close.
Okay, is there any more question? Yeah, today I have more question today lah. Okay. So basically, people talking about, IR 4.0 lah nowadays, IR 5.0, later 6.0, 7, and so on, isn't it? So basically, apa mak dimaksudkan dengan education 4.0 tu actually?
Okay.
Apa yang dimaksudkan dengan contohlah kan, education 4.0. I think now people are talking about education 4.0 lah. Dr. Didi also just mentioned, right? So actually,
Yes.
apa maksudnya education 4.0 tu?
Okay. Maybe I can summarize in the from the term first point zero. Jadi kalau education 1.0 or first point oh, it means that like traditional, right? We just
Okay.
study in the traditional classes. And then about the 2.0, we utilize the internet and computer. And then in the 3.0, we not only involve the computer and internet, but also we focus on the knowledge. So uh, teacher as a supervisor for the students to motivate, to encourage the students in complex problem solving. And then in the 4.0, learning activities, not only we give examination, like I think similar also in Indonesia, usually some of the teacher just basically they use internet and computer, but it likes they just move the traditional into digital. That's all. Just like apa namanya tuh macam scan the paper and then put in the internet, so student can read from anywhere. Just that's all. No evaluation. Evaluation mean that if students like students A, B, C got something score, we don't care why they receive the score. In education 4.0, we need to know more. Kita mesti perlu tahu why the students achieve good score. Nah, kita bisa apa namanya kita bisa identify dari their activity in learning, and then how they solve the problem like in the log data. Nah, itu yang saya rasa di Education 4.0 we not only focus on the internet, computer, and then student centered, but also we need to know more why they achieve something score. I think something like that, Professor Arifin. So we need to more.
Good. Betul juga tu. Okay, very good. So, is there any more question?
Maybe one more thing, Professor Arifin, that I can highlight in this speech. Big data basically not only lots of data. This is one important things that saya selalu notice ke students, because students maybe have like apa namanya tuh, mereka imagine that big data should be view of data. Jadi mesti data yang besar gitu. Nah, kalau kita mungkin berpikir seperti itu, ya kita masih belum apa namanya belum berani lah untuk apply the data science and data mining. But focus on the value. Saya cakap seperti itu ya. Jadi kalau students punya some data like about their achievement, like student achievement, ya mereka mengerjakan saya kira macam quizzes ya. Kita instruct student untuk finish the quizzes. We can receive the log data, like how long they finish the questions, and then they try to solve one questions, how many times they tried, and then something like that. Kita boleh dapat quiet data activity, itu pun boleh kita analyze. Jadi kita nanti tahu seperti apa difficulty of the questions, and then why they achieve good score or something like that. So again, big data not only about lots of data, but value of the data itself is more important. I think semacam itu, Profesor.
Ya. Jelas. Bagus tu. Value. Jelas sebab dia ada 5V tadi kan?
Ya, betul. Value.
Okay, very good. So, is there any more question? Maybe from our colleague? Okay. Okay, terima kasih semua yang hadir. Terima kasih Dr. Didik. So, semoga kita inilah bekerjasama mengeratkan lagi inilah kolaborasi dan penyelidikan, insyaAllah. So, kita juga berjumpalah Dr. Didik dan rakan-rakan untuk datang melawat JMS. InsyaAllah juga kami juga akan melawat Mr. Malang lah, insyaAllah. So, okay, terima kasih banyak-banyak. So, sampai ketemu jua lah nanti. Okay, Assalamualaikum dan bye-bye.
Profesor
Okay.
Arifin, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.